Yo, what's up guys, I'm Yannick from the Produce School, and in this video I will show you how to make a bass house breakdown. I will also give you some tips to make your breakdowns a little bit more unique than the usual breakdowns in bass house. And make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get straight into this. If you're looking for a dope bass house sample pack, then make sure to check out our pack called Redemption, which is a really cool bass house, tech house and G house sample pack, including presets, project files, samples, vocals and much more. And if you want to support the pack, then check out the link over here or go to theproduceschool.com. Bass house is usually more about the drop and the crazy sound design, so the breaks aren't that important, but of course you need a break in your track. I will be using a Serum for a Reese bass, and in a lot of bass house tracks you can hear a Reese bass, and this one in particular is really cool. It's really distorted, it's also in the pack and it sounds like this. Really nasty but cool Reese bass. There's some fine tuning on the first oscillator as you can see here, then there's a hyper on it, some diode 1 distortion, a phaser to give it some movement, a chorus to spread out the sound a bit, then a reverb to give it some room, and last but not least a EQ which cuts out a lot of the high end. Let's create a bass line in the piano roll, go for some low notes like E4 or something. That one will work probably. And as you can hear right now it sounds like one long note, but I wanted to hit again at the second beat. So what you can do then is to cut out a little bit of the last end of the first one, and then it hits again at the second part. A little bit more. Like that. And over here I think I wanted to go up to an F to make it a little bit more interesting. And we can make this E slide into the F by dragging it a little bit to the left and drag E a little bit out like this. And it works because in Serum I put on the voicing mono legato and I put up the porta time to around, let's see, 11 o'clock. And that makes sure you can glide two notes into each other like I did over here. Pretty simple bass. I'm not going to mix it at all. I'm just gonna put an EQ on it for filtering, but we'll do that later. And right now I'm going to show you a really cool trick that not many producers know. Let's copy this bass layer and paste it into a new pattern, and I'll be using the same bass as we did in the first part, and let's copy the bass MIDI in there. Let's delete all this and just make it one long E note. And I'm going to do something that introduces the break, so at the start of the track. Let's put this second pattern in the playlist like this. And I'm going to create a low cut automation on this bass with the EQ we put on before. Select this little slider over here and hit create automation clip. And now it glides in and it sounds really big and huge, and then people know there's something dope coming. Then after that the bass is fully open and I'm going to paste pattern 1 in there. Bass house breakdowns aren't that long, usually around 30 or 45 seconds. This one is 30 seconds, and the reason why they are short is because you want to focus on the drop, and that's usually the most interesting part as well for the listeners. And now I'm going to show you a really nice trick that makes this bass in the first part more unique. And what you have to do is to create an LFO to the levels of the oscillators and set it to a 1/4 rate and shape it like this, around this, that's okay. Then go to the settings of the plugin and go to arpeggiator. And what you want to do then is to hit this little arrow down, which makes the arpeggio go down. But for this bass we're staying on one note, so that doesn't really matter. Set the range to 1 and repeat to 6. And now we can create an automation of the time. And as you can hear, once you move it up, it goes slower and slower, which will add a lot of tension to the breakdown. Right click on a time and hit create automation clip. And then we want it to go up, so it goes slower and slower. And then it will sound like this. I'm sure you can do this as well in Serum, but I just figured out this method, which works really well. In Serum you can put also a LFO on the rate of the other LFO, but this worked for me. For the drums you want something fairly simple. Most of the time there are breakbeats in bass house, like this one. Really old school and nice breakbeat I found on Splice. Then this clap loop from our Redemption pack. Some drop claps are that. Then another drum loop with some hi-hats. And then a little percussion loop or something I found on Splice. And if you add them all together, it sounds like this. Then you want to add some ambience effects like this. Sounds almost like a ghost or something, or a sustained vocal like this. Which give a lot of atmosphere to your breakdowns, and that's a really important advice I can give you. Even if you're not making bass house for like almost every genre, ambient effects are really important, like this vocal loop. It can fill up a lot of space in your track and make it more interesting. Then some effects like up filters, down filters and impacts. They sound like this. At the end of the break there's this crash and fill coming in. The crash sounds like this. You hear this in a lot of house songs. And also a fill with a clap and some toms. Then you want some dark and deep vocals, which are used a lot in bass house. I use some vocals from the Redemption pack and they sound like this.
Turn it up. Turn it down.
I put them both in the mixer channel and let's add an EQ to it to cut out a lot of the low end.
Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up.
Like this. Then let's add a delay with a really long time. Let's put up the feedback so it stays on longer and lower down the cutoff.
Turn it up.
And right now the time is in a triplet, but we want it to be in just a 1/4. So let's go to time and let's see. Yes, we have it on 4. And right now it sounds like this.
Turn it up. Turn it down.
I put the second vocal a little bit further away, so the delay has a little bit more time to come in. Let's put a reverb on this.
Turn it up. Turn it down.
And you really want a big atmospheric vocal, so I would suggest to put up the decay and try to mess around with it when you think it sounds good. Let's play it with the rest of the track and see how it sounds.
Turn it up. Turn it down.
That sounds pretty cool. I think we can add another vocal between these two. So let's copy this vocal and pitch it up 1 octave. Like this with the pitch button over here. And let's do the same for the second vocal. Let's pitch it up an octave as well. This sounds pretty harsh and bad.
Turn it up.
This vocal will really be a backing vocal. So I'm going to put an EQ on this with the preset called Radio, which gives it a nice radio filter sound.
Turn it up.
Like this. And now let's add a delay like we did with the first vocal.
Turn it up.
And here comes the trick, that is the reverb. Select a really big size like this, really long decay, around 6 seconds or something. Put up the wet level and lower down the dry level so it sounds more in the background of the track.
Turn it up. Turn it down.
Now it sounds like it's in a big church or something. And that's basically it. I will now play you guys the end result for this breakdown and let's see how it sounds.
Turn it up. Turn it down. Turn it up. Turn it down.
After this breakdown you can add of course a build up, and if you guys want to see us make a build up for Bass House, please let us know in the comments so we can cover that in another video. I hope that you learned something from this video. We have some sick things coming that we can't wait to tell you guys about. And if you want to stay updated about all the new stuff that's coming, then follow us on Instagram. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and I hope to see you in another video.